Welcome to Emotions and Eating with Nicola Beer. Nicola controlled her feelings using food for 25 years, so she knows how draining it is to be constantly thinking about or acting out with food. Thankfully, having made an amazing breakthrough in her recovery, her mission became about helping others escape the unsatisfying cycle of frustration and self-medication with food. Nicola is determined to help you find your inner strength so you can be healthy, gain confidence, feel great, and be at peace with yourself and food.
Hi and welcome. I'm really excited about this episode today. I'm going to be talking about the hunger that drives addiction and some steps you can take if you have a habit at the moment that is compulsive, you're trying to stop, you're struggling to stop, or someone you love, someone you really care about is doing a repetitive habit that you know isn't serving them or is harming your relationship with them, and they seem unable to change or to want to change or to stop. So in all of my experience doing addiction treatment services, I have had numerous clients who have contacted me specifically for getting off a chemical, whether that's alcohol, drugs, medication, emotional eating, and then there's also sex addiction, gaming addiction, shopping addiction, a whole host of things. A lot of people believe that when it comes to the drugs, the alcohol, those kind of things, that all you need to do is to stop the physical addiction and then it will go. And of course, addictions are so much more complicated than that. Often the biggest struggle with stopping addictions is the benefits that the person gets or that they used to get when they first started. There's often a temporary relief from pain, reality. It can be a way to reward, to block out loneliness, guilt, disappointment, feelings of failure and shame. And sometimes people say, look, I would do it because I just need to feel good and I enjoy it. It helps me put a pause on my life. I numb out. So I'm going to talk today about the hunger that drives addictions and compulsive behaviours, as well as what you can do if you are struggling yourself or you, as I mentioned, are in a relationship with someone that is. So I recently had a client called Chris, and he booked a session with me after searching for depression support. And within the first few minutes of our conversation, Chris admitted to drinking excessively to the point where he couldn't remember where he was or who he was with, and had recently started experimenting with different drugs. And he came to me because he got so drunk and ended up at a hotel with another lady and lost his phone, lost his keys. I think he feels that he was obviously taken advantage of, and his relationship was on the brink. And I wanted to explore with Chris, what is going on? What is leading to this excessiveness? And often it's limiting beliefs that people have about themselves. Chris said to me at the beginning, no, Nicola, I don't drink because of any problems. I do it because I enjoy it. And I said, yeah, sure, of course you do. So what do you enjoy about it? And he thought about it for a moment and he said, feeling free, my mind goes blank, I laugh and smile, I kind of feel numb to, it helps me to be more sociable, I talk more easily as I feel more confident. So I said, okay, that's great. So you do it because you feel confident, free, have a calm mind, you're smiling and laughing more, and it's easier to have conversations with people, right? Yes, Nicola. Fantastic. So in order to drink less or to stop or to be more balanced, we have to find a way to get all of those things for you without substances. And he said, yeah, I guess I didn't really think about that. So that was the next step. Looking at the emotions and his negative thinking, his critical self-judgments about himself that had to be cleared, because that was blocking him from feeling happy. A belief that I need alcohol to be sociable. I'm not interesting enough without it. That had to go. His repressed anger towards himself had to go. His feelings of shame and guilt from the past had to go. He needed and wanted to feel more attractive in himself. That had to change. It turned out that Chris was really feeling unhappy because he felt that he was failing in his life. His wife earned more than him, and it bothered him. He was annoyed at himself still for getting into debt after college, using credit cards. And he couldn't help but sort of punishing himself but with these thoughts by saying, look, I should be much further ahead if I wasn't such an idiot after I finished college. He also didn't like the way he looked. He was going bald and he was getting bigger, but he never felt motivated enough to dedicate time for exercise and eating well because he didn't like himself. So it became that vicious cycle. And this was all affecting his confidence. And he had a belief that I'm overlooked. He felt overlooked and unappreciated in his relationship. He felt overlooked and unappreciated in his work. He felt overlooked with his friends. And that's why when he drank, he became the clown of the group to get people to like him. Because he had all of these areas where he didn't feel good enough, this core belief that he's overlooked had to be changed, because whatever you tell your mind, that becomes that self-fulfilling prophecy, because you adopt that as, okay, this is true, I am always overlooked, for example. Then you project that out there. You look for examples with those kind of glasses of I'm overlooked, I'm bad, I'm this, I'm that, whatever it is. And then it gets reflected back to you. And you're just noticing that because you're looking at the world through that lens, if that makes sense. So we needed to change that. We needed to re-boost his confidence, which I did with a meditation on ultimate confidence. And we also got into actions, because actions build confidence, and so does changing the negative stories in our heads to positive. So that was when we decided to do like my 3-day intensive breakthrough, because the first step is looking at what are the core emotions that someone's holding on to, what are all the beliefs that they have about themselves, like I'm lazy, I'm out of control, I'm stuck, it's too late, I'll never get the job, relationship, whatever it is I want, good things don't happen to me, whatever it is. So we need to release that, release the emotions like anger, sadness, hurt, fear, guilt, rage, that create that low self-esteem, and then clear that, and then focus on, right, who do you want to be? What will make you feel more confident? Getting out of your comfort zone. I say to him, look, let's have a test. Go out, have an amazing night out, and just drink Diet Coke or water or whatever. Just go and see if you can do it. And normally people come back and go, yeah, it was amazing. I had such a good time, I didn't even need it. Often just that story, when we change that story and then we take action, we overcome that. When I was doing my dancing classes in the evening, I had a belief before, like there's no way I can need a dance class after 2 p.m. I'm not an evening exerciser, I convinced myself of that. And so to challenge myself, I booked them at 8 p.m. for quite a few weeks. I don't know if you were in that Facebook group then. And it was actually fine. It was just getting over it. And of course I planned my meals to make sure that I had the energy. And so we can overcome anything. So if you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, I would like to change. Like, do some positive things to increase your inner talk. And then take some outside actions to grow your confidence. Confidence grows by pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone. Because people will create the same reality if you don't change the deeper level thinking and release the emotions. It's unhealthy for us to hold on to these emotions in the body. It can sometimes create pain and aches and illnesses and stress. So we need to be able to release them. And then it's really important to look at lifestyle. work situations, finances, relationships, sleep, diet, support network, or lack of, support. Looking at other causes, other things that influence it, rather than just saying, okay, you have a problem with this substance, therefore let's just do a plan of you to get off that one substance, with no outside factors looked at. Often when people come to me for alcohol addiction, hypnotherapy, emotional eating hypnotherapy, depression hypnotherapy, anxiety hypnotherapy, I'm like, absolutely, it works, and we need to look at the rest of your life, because if we're telling your mind, to be calm, to release these things, and you're doing actions that recreate it, it's not going to be very effective, because you need to do both. You need to reprogram your mind to support you in where you want to go, and you also need to be taking positive actions and behavioural changes to get the lasting results. It's not just a case of stop this and be free, which is why so many people struggle with willpower alone. They say to themselves, right, I'm going to stop this habit, and they don't have a positive replacement. They haven't looked at what benefits that was giving them and found other ways to get those benefits. So your mind's going to be like, well, I need those benefits, so it will just talk you back into it. Ben and Judy used to fight over Ben's nights out for many years pre-COVID. Ben was in sales and he had to drink and eat out most days of the week because he was entertaining clients and motivating his sales team. And that's why he said to his wife that it was impossible to lose weight and to come home before midnight, because this is what he had to do to make good money, and she enjoyed the money, so she just needed to accept it. And Judy really hoped that with COVID that his travel and entertainment would stop so they could have more time to rebuild their relationship and connect. She thought it would be a perfect time to have quality family and romantic times together. Sadly, this didn't happen. Ben was super stressed and worried about losing his job. The declining sales in the business made him feel like a failure, and he felt panic almost every day. So rather than spend more time with his family, he did the opposite. He would get up at 4 a.m. in the morning, cycle for a few hours, then start work, and then be on the beers around 4 o'clock, drinking at his desk at home, and then he'd be in bed for 8 after dinner. And he never missed a day of cycling, he never missed a day of drinking. He became, what he said, is obsessed by it. And looking beneath the surface, there are quite a few things going on that would need to change to help Ben break free from these habits. First of all, he needed to get a better way to manage stress and that anxiety, panic, and not let things overwhelm him. Second, he needed to have some friends. He'd lost touch with his friend circle way back, believing that he didn't have time for friends, and he would entertain clients instead of having what he called real friendships. So he felt alone and lost. And when we talked through his relationships and friendships, he actually had a belief that I always disappoint people, so may as well not bother. He felt like he was bad at relationships. And all of his socialising had been for work purposes. It was always money-driven, purpose-driven, then a real connection with people that he'd love to hang out with. And he knew that his clients liked him because he was always footing the bill. So for him, it didn't feel genuine. And he would always become this more funny, entertaining version of him when drinking. And because he wasn't like that, normally he felt if people knew the real me, they wouldn't like me. He described himself as awkward and as not interesting. Over the years, he had lost himself and he had come to not like himself. And this had a massive impact on his sex drive, which was the reason why he had blocked out his wife for so many years. Fear of her expectation of sex. Fear of hearing more criticism when he already felt pretty low. Fear of hearing her upset and feeling more like a failure. And he cared so much for her, he couldn't express it. His way of coping was shutting her out. And he wouldn't have come to me for support because he didn't believe in getting help. It was only when his wife Judy said, look, I've had enough, sort it out, or that's it. She felt lonely and angry and sad and thinking like, what's the point in being